Alright, what's going on YouTube? Today we are going to analyze the Zoro vs King fight. King is very powerful, but just like Sanji vs Queen, Zoro was having an internal battle. By the end of the fight, Zoro was in a league above King. I'm going to go ahead and emphasize that King is very strong, being the right-hand man of Kaido. Not only do Lunarians have incredible durability, his Devil Fruit gives him an extra layer of durability. But when it comes to Zoro, he is far ahead of King. I'm going to go page by page and look at the entire fight. Some people believe that you need Advanced Conqueror's Haki to defeat King. This is not the case, and Green Bull is actually living proof of this. In fact, Zoro makes it clear that it's not about Haki, and he needed to understand King's race in order to win.
That's got to be racist. There's no way. I'm going to just keep it real. There's no way that is like of our culture.
When it comes to King, anybody who understands his weakness can fight him and defeat him. But with that misconception out the way, let's get right into the fight. So the battle starts on chapter 1022, when Zoro finally gets out of his bandages. Him and Sanji tag team on King and Queen, and this was after they defeated Marco. I think it's safe to assume King didn't really take any significant damage from Marco, and neither did Queen. They make it pretty clear they are very tough and they have a lot of endurance, so neither of them were heavily injured going into their battles with Zoro or Sanji. Marco basically did no damage. But anyways, in chapter 1023, we see King use his special blade and he strips Zoro's blades away and punches him right in the face, sending Zoro flying. Zoro reclaims his swords and acknowledges that King practices multiple fighting styles. Now we come back to chapter 1027 and King's mask has been broken and he is going absolutely berserk. His own crewmates are running for their lives because apparently when King's mask gets broken, he gets very angry, and we see one of his range attacks hit Zoro and it sends him flying through a wall into the arms of Frankie. So basically, Zoro did damage to King, and this is going to be very important later. Okay, so as Zoro prepares to counterattack King's next move, King lunges towards Zoro at full speed, and Zoro prepares his own attack. But because of King's momentum, Zoro is thrown off balance, and King slams Zoro through a wall, almost knocking him off the island. Zoro uses a two-sword style move to regain his balance and saves himself from falling off. Alright, so it's pretty clear King and Zoro are pretty comparable in physical ability, but I would say King has a massive advantage in speed and agility. Zoro has an advantage with Haki. One thing people don't acknowledge about Haki is why it's important. With brute strength alone, it is not enough to beat someone like Kaido. Powerful Haki is needed in order to defeat him. Haki is your willpower literally enforced, so it can help you close the gaps between you and your opponents that might have some hacks like dragon scales or a devil fruit like laws. That is what Haki is used for. The battle continues on chapter 1032 and King releases Tempura Udon. This range attack is so strong and fast that Zoro describes it as a beam and he can't even block it. For most of this battle, Zoro's attacks have been ineffective because King is faster than him, and Zoro doesn't understand King's weakness. Zoro is trying to end the fight quickly because he's running out of stamina. Zoro uses Dragon Twister and he notices something strange. King has actually blocked the attack. Unlike before, the attack is too widespread for King to dodge, so he decides to block using his wings instead of just tanking the attack. This is going to be important information for later, so bookmark this page in your head. Zoro struggles against King's insane durability and he starts to analyze King's appearance and he notices the flames on King's back and he begins to think about what race King is from. So I want everyone to acknowledge what Zoro is saying right here. A lot of people think you need Advanced Conqueror's Haki to defeat King. That is just not even true in the slightest. Green Bull and Marco kind of make it clear that you do not need Advanced Conqueror's Haki to defeat King. There are a lot of characters without Conqueror's Haki who would probably be able to defeat King, so that take just doesn't make any sense. I see a lot of people use this argument to say Katakuri can't defeat King, and it's a really horrible argument, but like, that's not the point of this video. I just wanted to get that point out the way. Moving back to the video. Alright, now getting back to the battle, Zoro starts to have an internal battle with Enma and the swords begin to drain Zoro's Haki. Zoro screams in pain and King notices and takes advantage, getting close to Zoro. And this is when Zoro lands a direct hit on King's torso and King shrugs off the attack. This is a very important detail because in the last chapter, Zoro noticed that King was blocking his attack. So Zoro is continuing to understand King's fighting style. King proceeds to burst into flames and Zoro tries to land a lethal lion song and it doesn't even work, although it was a direct hit on King's face. King once again unleashes a Tempura Udon on Zoro, and this time it's up close and Zoro is barely able to dodge it and it destroys a huge chunk of Onigashima's skull. Now King makes an important comment and it emphasizes what I said in the beginning of the video. King notices that Enma is draining Zoro's power and that Zoro is having an internal struggle. Zoro begins to remember the history with his swords and finally unlocks Advanced Conqueror's Haki after building and remember his relationship with his blades. In chapter 1035, Zoro lands the first substantial hit against King, and he now understands King's weakness and how to damage him. However, to make it clear again, Zoro does not need Advanced Conqueror's Haki, he just happened to unlock it at the same time as figuring out King's weakness. Zoro and King have more of a struggle, and then Zoro proceeds to end the fight because Enma is draining so much energy. Zoro even made mention of the fact that Odin was able to wield Enma with so much ease, so basically Zoro is giving us some Odin wink, and I love to see it. Alright, so Zoro attacks with Purgatory Onigiri, and it does no damage because King's flames are still on. So again, this shows that even with Advanced Conqueror's Haki, you cannot damage King while he has his flames on. And this is something not enough people are talking about. If we can assume all Lunarians share the same traits as King, then we can say they are easily the strongest race One Piece has ever seen. Kaido is someone who is so durable he can't even be killed through regular means, but with the flames on King's back, he is easily more durable than Kaido. So that's extremely impressive, but it doesn't make him invincible. So King proceeds to increase the intensity of his flames, and Zoro compares them to magma, and he gets into a struggle with King, and Zoro lets out a burst of Conqueror's Haki in order to stop King from taking away his swords. King strikes Zoro in the face, and Zoro realizes this is his chance to damage King, so Zoro counterattacks as King nails him. Then finally, with his brand new move, King of Hell 3 Dragon style, Zoro puts down King and slices through King's most powerful attack like it's butter, and King has lost his wing in the process, and he was heavily injured. So that marks the end of the long battle. So it's time to analyze exactly what happened. At the beginning of the fight, King had the upper hand, and he was more agile and definitely faster than Zoro. He also has the most insane defense the series has ever seen. Zoro didn't understand how to injure King, but in chapter 1027, we see that King's mask is broken and King is angry. So Zoro did damage, he just didn't know he was doing damage. So that again proves, even with just Ryo, Zoro was able to do damage. In chapter 1032, Zoro notices that King blocks one of his attacks, and it's the first time Zoro has ever made King block an attack. In chapter 1033, Zoro continued to analyze King's fighting style, and King continues to overpower Zoro until finally Enma drains Zoro's Haki and he unlocks Advanced Conqueror's Haki. And at the same time, Zoro also realizes how he can damage King. Zoro lands his first successful strike on King, and he confirms his own theory that King's defenses get weaker as he speeds up. So Zoro begins to counterattack and ends the fight with his final attack. Now this may seem like it was a high difficulty fight for Zoro. I'm not trying to say King is weak or anything like that. He's definitely very, very powerful, but if Zoro understood King's weakness from the beginning of the fight, this would have been a much shorter fight. Again, I want to make it clear, Zoro only landed 3 substantial attacks, and this is only after Zoro realized how to damage King. So I'd say that had Zoro understood King's weakness from the beginning of the fight, this would have been a much shorter fight. I don't think King actually would have stood that much of a chance against Zoro. Now, something we have to understand about Advanced Conqueror's Haki is that it literally moves people up a tier. If we go back to Roof Beast, we have Ryo, Luffy, Law, and Zoro. Even all together, they are not strong enough to take down Kaido. And then we see Zoro unlock Ashura, and he scars Kaido. And then we see Luffy unlock Conqueror's Haki, and he starts to 1v1 Kaido. So what does this show us? This shows us that literally just by using Advanced Conqueror's Haki, it literally almost puts you up in a whole different tier. Luffy went from getting knocked out with 2 of his friends helping him to 1v1ing Kaido. So it literally moved him up an entire tier. So for Zoro, we can assume is doing nearly the same thing. So when Zoro applies Conqueror's Haki to himself, the reason it's taking so much energy from Zoro is because it's such a powerful technique, and as Kaido said to Luffy in 1014, using it crudely will obviously lead to your defeat. So Zoro using it crudely, because he just kind of learned how to use it, is going to drain a lot of energy. So that does make a lot of sense. But even then, with the little stamina he does have, he still was strong enough to defeat King fairly easily. If it wasn't already clear to you, I can use Green Bull and Marco as examples that you don't need Advanced Conqueror's Haki to beat King. This is the end of the Zoro vs King analysis. If you guys have any opinions on this video, drop a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.